easy from Eddie Hernandez.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to GAW Academy Stormchaser. God, what a great show we have planned today. The incredibly dangerous Midnight is back, taking on a man who's been making some waves in the new tag division. That's right, Andrew Wesley. We'll take a look at what makes Wars so dangerous and why they're considered favorites for the new tag team titles. Academy champion Garrett Gibson takes on the 400-pound Overload. And in our main event, tag team legend Lieter will team with the young and incredibly talented Dagonite, a man Lieter has been high on for months. Do we have a new top team in the making? We'll find out, but before we get to any of that, we've been promising a big announcement about so many of our big matches, and we won't make you wait any longer. Ladies and gentlemen, book your plane tickets and pack your beachwear, because the GAW Academy is going to Sydney. We've been promising you this announcement for so long, and now we know GAW Academy Stormchaser Sydney. That's where we will see Gibson versus Andrews. It's where we'll see Lazara versus Yamamoto, and it's where we'll see Hernandez versus Park one last time. And we'll have more information about that for you coming up next week. Coming out now, if you missed GAW Dark from last Wednesday, you will have missed the debut of Christine Buckley, trained by the world-famous Becky Lynch, which is why you'll recognize the music and the color scheme here for Christine. She is a student of the man, formerly the Irish Lass Kicker. Of course, Becky Lynch is a legend in this sport. Buckley was under her tutelage for a long time, and evidently she impressed enough to get herself a match here on Stormchaser. I do like that Katherine has kept this kind of style of entrance that she adopted during the Stormchaser tournament. Katherine Sakamoto is the winner of the Stormchaser tournament, but her accomplishments kind of got pushed to the side with everything that Eddie Hernandez did, and of course announcing that Stormchaser would become a weekly show and everything that's happened with us since then. And so I kind of get the feeling that Katherine has felt a little bit slighted. She's been dealing with a slight ankle injury. You can see some extra tape around her knee to kind of stabilize that whole right leg. So I do think that she's kind of been feeling a little left out right now. So for her, knowing that she is not going to be the woman to face Lazara for the Academy Championship at Stormchaser Sydney, this feels like a big opportunity for her to kind of announce where she is right now and how dangerous she remains. This is a big, big test for Christine Buckley, coming off of a match against Queen Alexia. Alexia, the youngest member of the GAW Academy, the youngest member of General Admission Wrestling in general, no pun intended. And Alexia took Christine Buckley to school. Buckley really put up a big fight against the incredibly talented athlete, but she ended up succumbing to the dominatrix, the modified crossface that Queen Alexia employs. Buckley is a 6-time champion in Women's Championship Wrestling, which is one of the more famous underground promotions that you may not have heard of, but you should go look it up. Buckley's a six-time champion there, so she has no lack of talent, that's for sure. Of course, Katherine Sakamoto, they call her the MMA Legend Killer. She has wins over Ronda Rousey, Chris Cyborg, and Gina Carano, among others. And now Sakamoto working on the joints and now rolls her over, going for a cover. Buckley kicks out. Sakamoto is as dangerous as they come. Nice Hurricane Rana there from Buckley. Christine Buckley, I mentioned that she is a student of Becky Lynch. Well, she's adopted many things from Becky Lynch. Oh, cover here from Buckley. Easy kick out from Katherine. She's adopted many things from the multiple-time WWE Women's Champion. One of them, of course, being the modified Fujiwara armbar. Becky Lynch called it the disarm her, and Christine Buckley comes in with the same move. She calls it the buckshot. So both of these women have very dangerous submissions that they will employ. Of course, Katherine comes in with the Legend Killer submission and immediately going for those legs. Basement drop kick. Buckley up to her feet, boot to the gut, and Buckley now has the arm trapped into the suplex, and Katherine's leg caught the corner. Remember, Katherine's been dealing with some ankle problems. Buckley into the hammerlock. Katherine, an educated elbow right on the jaw of Christine Buckley. Front chancery here. I think Katherine trying to slow down the pace a little bit. You can see she's a little bit ginger on that right leg. Still dealing with that ankle injury. Nice double leg takedown and into the ground and pound. You can see the MMA influence, the training of Katsuyori Shibata. So prevalent in the game of Katherine Sakamoto. Now going up top is the MMA Legend Killer, Katherine, looking for stare at the lights, and she came right down on that leg. Wow, oh, what a snap power slam from Katherine. I wonder if she's got a little boost of adrenaline. She came straight down on that right leg where she's had injuries. Buckley going for the kick, caught by Katherine, and a takedown. I think it is a spike of adrenaline from the Legend Killer, and now you can see she's slowed down a little bit. You gotta think she's feeling some of that pain, and she traps Christine right into the front chancery. Buckley out of it, and now Buckley, oh, she took her down. Buckley looking to lock in the buckshot. Buckley sitting right down on that shoulder with the buckshot. Katherine trying to get some leverage, and I think she was able to force her arm out of it. That is just what happens when you deal with someone as well-trained as Katherine Sakamoto. Christine Buckley did the right thing by locking in the buckshot, but Katherine just so well-trained, she was able to get the leverage and was able to free herself from that submission. Buckley crawls into the corner, and Katherine just taunting her right to her face. We got a mean streak here from Katherine Sakamoto. As I said, I think she feels a little bit slighted by all the attention belonging to Lazara and Yamamoto, and now Katherine dives right in. Legend Killer locked in. Katherine absolutely wrenching on that ankle for the Legend Killer. Buckley cannot reach the ropes, and Christine Buckley has to tap. Katherine Sakamoto locks in the Legend Killer, and there's levels to this game. As dangerous as the buckshot is, when you're dealing with someone with the MMA credentials of Katherine Sakamoto, you need to go to another level, and unfortunately, Christine Buckley does not have that level yet. I'm sure it'll be coming. This woman is incredibly talented, and I don't think it's quite over for her yet. Certainly, she's got a long, I think she has a long career upcoming for her in GAW. I think there is no question about that, but Katherine Sakamoto is on another level. It's one thing to battle Queen Alexia, which Buckley did. It's another thing to go up against Katherine Sakamoto. And Sakamoto, now you gotta wonder where her head is at, knowing that she won't be part of the title match at Stormchaser Sydney. So who knows, maybe we'll hear more from her later on. Hopefully, I'd like to know where she's at. We do need to go backstage right now. We've got a camera back there, as it appears Flyboy and Mexican Shia face to face here and shaking hands. Could this be a potential partnership here? We're still looking for opponents for Dagonite and Lieter, so who knows, maybe it could be these two. I'd like to make one more announcement before we move on to our next match. Next week, GAW Academy Women's Champion Lazara has a big announcement, and I'm told that we will all want to be there to witness it. So make sure you join us next week on Stormchaser. Coming up next, the always dangerous Midnight taking on Andrew Wesley. Andrew Wesley made waves just 2 weeks ago when he teamed up with Frankie Omega to defeat, oh, I'm sorry, that was last week. Wow, things really move fast here in GAW. He teamed up with Frankie Omega to defeat Woods Club in the first tag team match with the reactivated tag team championships. So Andrew Wesley and Frankie Omega turning heads with their performance in that match. But Wesley still, I mean, he's a singles guy. He has been for his entire career. So always looking to put his name on the map, and with the kind of impression that Midnight has made since he's debuted in GAW, certainly Andrew Wesley with a win would put his name back on the singles map. Midnight has come in and made an immediate impact. There's no doubt about it. This is a guy who, he's terrifying to look at, and it's somehow even scarier when he wrestles. So this is a guy who he's won his first 2 matches in GAW. And it feels like he will not back down from a fight. He is fearless, he is dangerous, he is unpredictable, and most importantly for Andrew Wesley, or most terrifyingly for Andrew Wesley, is it seems that he is ultra confident. I think he knows that he is one of the best wrestling prospects in GAW right now. Let's see if he can prove it against probably the best opponent he's faced since he's been in GAW. Midnight's 2 matches in GAW in his short GAW career. Wow, look at the athleticism from Andrew Wesley, like it's nothing. Wesley going up top, and Wesley, oh my goodness! Moonsault stomp. But I think he landed right on that shoulder brace of Midnight. Midnight wears that. He's had injuries, he's been dealing with injuries since he signed to GAW. It's actually why he didn't debut in the Stormchaser tournament. Little homage to Ric Flair right there with the natural selection. So Midnight's 2 matches in GAW have come against Mexican Shia, and oh my God, Midnight comes right off the top. A beautiful cutter. Mexican Shia and Tonga were the 2 guys that Midnight has taken down so far in his young GAW career, so certainly Andrew Wesley is the toughest opponent he's faced. No disrespect to Shia or Tonga. Oh my God, Midnight, it's just comes in at 6'7", just over 275 pounds. This is a guy who's built like an NBA power forward but moves like an NFL wide receiver. This is a rare blend of size and athleticism for Midnight. And now Midnight looking for a power bomb, but Wesley comes up over the top. Sunset flip for the bone saw, and Andrew Wesley looking to steal one here from Midnight. Midnight kicks out. Wesley rolls him up from behind, and now Wesley, he didn't release. This isn't West of the Rising Sun. Midnight saw it coming. When Wesley pulls out the West of the Rising Sun, he'll release that schoolboy package, that schoolboy cover. He didn't that time, and Midnight now grounded top wrist lock, just driving in the strength. This guy is so difficult to game plan against. We say it about a lot of guys, but Midnight in particular, his size and speed makes him very, very difficult to actually come up with a good plan against, and Midnight dodges the low kick from Andrew Wesley, and Wesley has to roll out of the ring. Wesley has been blitzed by the offense of Midnight right now, and Midnight snaps suplex on the floor, and Wesley not even moving. What a brutal move on the outside. Wesley back in, Midnight follows him, and Midnight comes right back. Midnight with a rolling Death Valley driver, but Wesley pops right back up. Wesley able to withstand 275 pounds coming right across his chest. And now Wesley perches Midnight up on the top rope. We've seen Wesley go to this move several times in the past few weeks. Wesley drives his knees right into the sternum of Midnight. We've seen him use that move several times, but Midnight not even having it. Wow. Midnight having none of that. Wesley trying to pump himself up right now as Wesley heads to the top. Midnight dazed, and Wesley pops him with a missile drop kick. This is as good as anyone has looked against Midnight so far. I mean, granted, our sample size is low, but certainly this is as good as I've seen anyone against this guy. Midnight catches Wesley and plants him down, and that might be the end of that. Midnight drives in the strength, and now, again, Midnight, just a deadlift, gut wrench, power bomb. Doesn't even go for the cover on that. He did sit out on it. Midnight hoists up Wesley and drops him back down. Reverse DDT with the forearm assist to the gut. Wesley finds himself in trouble once again, but this, as I say, is definitely the best anyone has looked against Midnight. Sliding kick, but Midnight comes right back. And now Wesley gets to his feet, doesn't realize Midnight's waiting for him, but he does catch the boot. That's the setup for the Sleepwalker, and Midnight locked into that single leg Boston Crab. Midnight close to the ropes, but instead he elects to power out of the submission. It might be a little bit of inexperienced from the 25-year-old Midnight. Oh my goodness, pump handle face buster. Wesley rolls out, but elects to stay on the apron. Midnight allows him to come to his feet. Strike caught by Wesley. Wesley back into the ring. We've hit the 5-minute mark in this match. Nice takedown from Midnight. And now perches Wesley up on the top rope and slingshots him back. Shot him about half the distance of the ring. That's the strength in the upper body of Midnight. And now again, Wesley gets to his feet, but again catches the boot. That is 2 Sleepwalker attempts that Andrew Wesley has warded off, and Wesley goes for the clothesline over the top. Midnight catches him with a stun gun. Midnight is catching every blow that Wesley has to throw at him, but there's no doubt that Wesley is the best opponent that Midnight has faced so far, and this time he drives him face first into the mat. Wesley, targets the arm. That's gonna stop Midnight from locking in the hold that he needs to hit the Sleepwalker, possibly, maybe not. Gets him up, Sleepwalker. Well, the best laid plans, right? Midnight going for the cover now, and Midnight has beaten his toughest opponent. Andrew Wesley at the very end trying to target that arm, trying to make it impossible for Midnight to lock in that hold for the Sleepwalker. You need that right arm to balance your opponent, keep him prone so that you can drop him down. It was too little too late, and Midnight, we gotta talk about this guy. He might really have something here. Midnight has beaten all 3 opponents that have gone up against him, and he has looked damn good while doing it. I think we need to pay attention to this man. I think Midnight has something very, very special, and hopefully we will get to see more of him as the days and weeks go on. Folks, we got the GAW Academy champion coming up next, but we got a couple orders of business to take care of. First off, we are hearing that Katherine Sakamoto is backstage addressing Yamamoto and Lieter, and let's hear what she has to say. All right, let's go through the facts. 1, I beat Lieter. 2, I beat Yamamoto. And yet it's going to be Lieter and Yamamoto at Stormchaser Sydney, and where is Katherine? Yeah, I'm ready to fight someone over that, but look, I'm here to play the long game. So Yamamoto or Katherine or Lieter, doesn't matter who's champion. When that match is done at Stormchaser Sydney, guess who the number 1 contender is? Katherine Sakamoto, the MMA legend killer, the bitch that no one wants to deal with. And I'm coming for the champion, whoever it may be. We introduced you to 13-time World Tag Team Champions War last week. Make no mistake, Vic Cassidy and Isaiah Hannibal will put the whole tag team division on notice, and one key way they do that is with their incredibly dangerous tag team finishing move, fittingly dubbed War Ender. It's one of the most feared moves in the world of tag team wrestling. Let's show you why. This footage you're seeing is from a match against the Street Profits just a couple months ago. The move begins with Isaiah Hannibal hitting a backbreaker Uranagi. Now it's important to note, either man can perform either role in the course of this move, but it's more effective when the much bigger Vic Cassidy comes off the top rope. You can see the height Cassidy gets as he skies into the air. With the opponent unable to move, Cassidy will take aim right at the throat. The 270-pounder comes crashing down right across the neck, at which point Hannibal will release the hold on the backbreaker. This is important because it allows Cassidy to come down with the opponent's head, driving even more torque onto the head and neck. When using this move, War attacks the lower spine, upper spine, neck, and head of the opponent, meaning both Cassidy and Hannibal can use any number of brutal attacks during a match to soften up their competition. You can expect that if you see the War Ender, it's curtains for that match.
Safe hardened, but I found it, homie, been cracked. Hey, yo, we been
We're all very happy to have War here in GAW. Well, I mean, I am from an unbiased perspective. I don't think any of our tag teams are happy to see War in GAW, and certainly they are coming with one of the most dangerous tag team moves you can imagine. Meanwhile, in the ring, Overload has drawn the short straw of having to face a justifiably pissed off Academy champion, Garrett Gibson. The word backstage is that Garrett Gibson is not happy with Kurt Andrews apparently attempting to steal the spotlight from the Academy champion. And I think Gibson, I mean, when you talk to him, this guy's a really humble guy, but he also is well aware that he is the Academy champion and won it during the Stormchaser tournament, and it does feel like Andrews is stealing a little bit of that spotlight. You're seeing highlights now from Andrews' match against Eddie Hernandez in the main event last week. It was an incredible match, to be sure, but Garrett Gibson has yet to have a main event match, so I think he feels like, as the champion, he should be getting a little bit of that, and I can't exactly say he's wrong. Garrett Gibson as the champ trying to come right out with that flying knee. Overload comes right back and walks into a spine buster. The strength of Gibson to lift up a man of Overload's size like it's nothing. Overload sends him to the outside. Garrett Gibson, he may not be the flashiest, he may not be the most exciting in terms of all the high-flying moves. Overload getting into it with a fan over there. Certainly Garrett Gibson is probably the best ring technician we have in the GAW Academy. He was in college, and you'd call him a standout, but that would be disrespectful. Frankly, he's one of the best collegiate wrestlers we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years. He is a Pan Am Games gold medalist, an Olympian representing the United States. This is a man who could have made a very good living. Oh, Overload sends him right back over. He could have made a very good living continuing with amateur wrestling. But instead, he moves over to professional wrestling, and he's making quite a living for himself in these ranks as the GAW Academy champion. Now, Overload is a guy who has said many times that he wants to make a better living as a professional wrestler than he has as a strongman. It's going to be hard to do that when you're soaking up these punches. Texas jab from Garrett Gibson. Flattens the 400-pounder, and Gibson now going for the cover, and Overload kicks out at 2. Overload's been embroiled in a controversy with Lars Nightfall. We haven't seen Nightfall since he addressed it a couple weeks ago on Dark. Gibson, All-American clothesline, ducked by Overload. Gibson comes right back with the attack. Overload trying for the shoulder tackle. Gibson stays on his feet, but Overload comes right back in. Gibson back to his feet, and Gibson DDT. effortless strength from Garrett Gibson. Overload trying to overpower him as best he can. Overload's liable to just walk out of this match at any time. It's what he did to Lars Nightfall. Overload, oh my God. What a brutal overhand chop. You can hear it from here. Overload trying to overpower the champ. Garrett Gibson comes right back. Irish whip into the corner. Jab caught by Overload. And now Overload with a running STO. A little bit more technical than we're used to seeing from the former world's strongest man, but now going for a cover. It's an easy kick out for the champ. Overload hasn't addressed anything about Lars Nightfall. I think he hopes this, I bet he hopes the situation is behind him at this point. I don't know if he wants the problem with Nightfall. Nightfall has seemingly disappeared. It's what he's want to do. A very, very private man is Lars Nightfall. Overload trying to exert his power on Gibson and locks in a camel clutch. Trying to turn back the clock like the Iron Sheik. But Garrett Gibson, he's got more Hulk Hogan in him. Going for the stomp. Overload out of the ring, but Garrett Gibson, that's not the time. Overload with a belly to belly. Put some mustard on that one as well. Slams down the champ, and now going for a cover. Garrett Gibson kicks out. Gibson trying to outlast the big man here, and it might be a good strategy. Certainly the cardio of Gibson is better than Overload. So it may be a good strategy to try to outlast. Wow, a little bit of athleticism from the much bigger man. Overload now sends Garrett Gibson over the top, and Overload, now is not the time to count your chickens before they hatch, my friend. Well, he's inviting Garrett Gibson back into the ring, and Gibson makes him pay. Gibson, 2 jabs, 3 jabs. Gibson winds up the left. Texas jab. Second time he's dropped Overload to the mat, and now another cover for Garrett Gibson, and he made Overload pay. Garrett Gibson with a Texas jab. And he didn't need to dial up the All-American clothesline. He didn't need the sweet tea. He'll just pull out a big jab from the Lone Star State. And is that a message sent to Kurt Andrews? Telling Kurt Andrews, you know what? I don't need the clothesline. I don't need the pile driver. I can just beat you with a few jabs. I think it's very possible that Gibson is trying to send a message to the #1 contender. We know that Gibson and Andrews will be facing off at Stormchaser Sydney a couple weeks down the line. So there's going to be no mystery of who Garrett Gibson will be facing for his Academy Championship. So at this point, for the next few weeks, it's going to be all mind games between Gibson and Andrews. Once again, that match is happening at Stormchaser Sydney. Garrett Gibson versus Kurt Andrews for the GAW Academy Championship. That is one of the many, many big matches that we expect on that show. Coming up next, it's our main event. Tag team legend Lieter returns to the fold, and he is backstage addressing his situation right now. How many of you know what it's like to constantly be asked, what have you done lately? And to constantly be told that I need to go back to tag team wrestling, that I'm not good enough as a singles competitor. Well, you know what? They're right, the kind of people who say that. I do need to go back to tag team wrestling. 3 months ago, I teamed with Dagonite. And I saw all the potential that this man has. I saw everything he brings to the table, and he brings it all in a package over 7 feet tall. Of course, the typical cliches apply to Dagonite. He does have everything you can't coach. But what I like about him most is he's willing to learn everything you can. Dagonite blows me away with his mind for the business, his intelligence, and his willingness to learn. And that's what I look for. I look for somebody as a tag team partner who I can play off of. Somebody who really knows what I'm going to do. And someone who is willing to tell me what they're going to do. To be a tag team, you have to have complete chemistry. You basically have to live together. you have to know exactly what that man is thinking and where he's going to be at all times. And let me tell you this, I've been working with Dagonite for the last couple months, and you will be absolutely shocked how much he's learned and how much he's improved. This guy is 20 years old, and he has more intelligence than guys I've seen who are in their 40s. I'm not saying what my plans are at the minute, but I can tell you a long-term team of Dagonite and Lieter, well, that would be close to gods. That is some high praise from Lieter to talk about Dagonite that way. And you talk about someone with the pedigree of Lieter at every level, especially when it comes to tag teams. This is a guy who held tag team gold in MLW and then came to the GAW Academy to hold tag team gold and has stayed in the GAW Academy ever since. This is one of the most experienced prospects in the Academy. I mean, I shouldn't even call him a prospect. I mean, you look at Stormchaser, you look at where we are, this is one of the most experienced wrestlers in the Academy, and on top of that, he still remains one of the most talented. And obviously, his record as a tag team wrestler speaks for itself. So when you hear him talk about Dagonite the way that he just was backstage, that is a big, big deal.
Feed me more. Feed me more.
They call Dagonite the giant killer. Yes, you heard that right. Giant killer. Now, the reason for this, I've talked to Lancelot about this. Dagonite is a graduate of Reaper Camp, the wrestling school owned and operated by Lancelot. As I said, we have several Reaper Camp prospects in the GAW Academy. And the reason they call him the giant killer is because Dagonite has a game specifically tailored to beat bigger men. Normally, when you talk about a giant killer, you talk about a smaller guy who is able to compete against bigger guys. Dagonite actually has a game designed to compete against men close to his size. It's a very unique concept, and Dagonite had just turned 20 years old just a few weeks ago, and so this is a guy who is kind of rethinking the way that wrestling needs to be done. He's got that young mind, and so he's kind of rethinking basic things that we think about the sport of professional wrestling, and obviously it's worked out for him if he's able to impress Lieter the way that he has. What a formidable team that is. Flyboy, a guy we can all get excited about in the GAW Academy. This is a guy who is, I don't want to say inexperienced, but less experienced than some of the men in the Academy. But he does have a win over Yunsan Park, and that certainly should not go unnoticed. Mexican Shia, you'd have to say, is, I don't want to call him the odd man out here, but in terms of the styles that we have in this match, Mexican Shia is definitely the one that stands out. He has almost no tag team experience in his life, and very little is known about even how he trained. He claims to be Mexican underground royalty, but we don't know. We can only assume that he is underground trained, meaning that we know that he has a very unique style that belongs to underground wrestlers. Of course, we talk about it all the time with someone like Lancelot, a very unique style. But it means that when it comes to tag team chemistry, it doesn't always work. That style doesn't always mesh. And so we'll have to see if it does here for Mexican Shia. I would think that Flyboy would be a good candidate to try to work with that style, given the athleticism that Flyboy brings to the table. But you don't know unless you try, and we're about to see him try in the main event. Dagonite and Lieter. What an imposing team against the newly formed group of Shia and Flyboy. Lieter and Flyboy start off proceedings here. Lieter, trying to demonstrate his power. My God. Slams him face first with the modified suplex, and Flyboy might be out on his feet already. Eats the lariat from Lieter. Flyboy tries to throw one himself. Lieter ducks it, back body drop. Flyboy hits the deck. Lieter's not done. Spine buster. Lieter asserting his strength early. And Flyboy will have to do something here to come back, and he does. Small package driver from the much smaller Flyboy. He's got some strength about him as well. And showing his agility, just a casual standing backflip. I mean, that's what we do. That's what I do every day. I don't know about you guys. Irish whip off the ropes and a drop kick. Lieter back to his feet. It's hard to keep the big man down for long, but Flyboy trying to do it. Swinging neck breaker. Beautifully done from Flyboy, but Lieter, effortless strength from the tag team legend. Lieter up, and a Uranagi plants him. Folks, before this match gets too intense and too interesting, we need to send it back to the office where Jason Parker has our main event for next week. Hey, I'm having so much fun with this match already, and frankly, I'm a little insulted that you make me turn away from my TV to actually watch it. But so I got this quick announcement. Lee Ka, Yun-San Park, these are two of the most respected guys in this company. They're gonna fight in the main event next week. We return to you as Lieter looking to set up, call for Olympus. Flyboy, sunset flip over. Flyboy trying to steal one. Lieter kicks out. I cannot wait, by the way, for a main event of Yun-San Park versus Lee Carr. My goodness. What a match that promises to be. Two guys who just love this sport. Two guys who will give it all in the ring every night. And I can't wait to watch. I don't think Flyboy can wait to get the hell out of this match, and he can't. Dives to make the tag in, and Dagonite comes in for Lieter as well. Dagonite taken to his feet by a clothesline, and another one from Mexican Shia. Shia comes out guns blazing, but Dagonite shuts that down. The massive, hulking Dagonite now going for a cover. Shia kicks out. Flyboy was in the ring. Look at the imposing size of the 7-foot-tall Dagonite. Now, ironically, his game is not so much designed to take out guys as small as Shia and Flyboy. Now, of course, when you lay in shots like that, it's hard to tell. Dagonite slams Shia face first into the kneecap. You can see why Lieter is so high on this kid right now. You can see why he had so many good things to say, and you can see why he would be contemplating a long-term team with someone as talented as Dagonite. He said that he has all those things that you can't coach, and it is a cliche, but certainly Dagonite has that. You can't coach size, and Dagonite has it. Shia trying to regain some control of the pacing of this match. Dagonite, oh my God, flying DDT. Wow. He's got some quickness. He's got a quick first step. And I mean, when your legs are 100 feet long, I guess it would make sense. Dagonite trying to make a tag here to Lieter, but Mexican Shia out of the corner. Shia, Irish whip, and Dagonite goes over the top. Oh, big shot. It's at that point for Dagonite to go over the top like that, you'd almost have to. I mean, his waist is at the ropes. If he tried to come off of him, he might just backflip over. Mexican Shia trying to use the grand equalizer that is the outside of the ring. Shia with a big shot and sends Dagonite across the face of the ring. It is a classic big man, little man matchup right now, and Shia showing it, trying to cut down the much bigger Dagonite with some leg kicks. Shia knows what needs to be done in this scenario, but Dagonite just tossing him around like he's nothing. Shia right back to his feet. Both shots, guys exchange, they both miss. Flyboy has him up, oh my God, Dagonite! Wow! Dagonite just launches him face first into the metal ring post. I think Mexican Shia's nose shattered on impact. And I'm not surprised. Dagonite brings him back into the ring. Shia to his feet, watches as the 7-footer rolls back in. Shia sends him into the corner. Shia goes running, Dagonite out of the way. Shia ducks underneath the lariat. Dagonite, what a headbutt. Stuns the supposed underground royalty, but Shia comes back in, and this time the knees connect, and Shia runs back in, and Shia with another knee. Right to the head of Dagonite, and Shia has brought down the big man. Shia trying to play offense right here. Meet the boss from Mexican Shia, and he turns Dagonite around with an absolutely brutal super kick. Lieter is there to break the cover, and he catches Flyboy while he's at it as well. Teardrop suplex. Mexican Shia, I don't think he's done. Shia looking for Meet the Boss once again, but Dagonite with a brutal lariat sends him down from behind. Dagonite was stunned by Meet the Boss the first time. That huge super kick. It takes a lot of power to twist a big man around like that. Shia did it, but now Dagonite back on top trying to make a tag in, but Shia still fighting. His nose broken from where he bashed the ring post. I don't think that's gonna do you much good there. Trying to shoulder tackle the 7-footer, but Shia comes off looking for a handspring into Gary. Dagonite forces him back into the corner with a big strike. Tag in now to Lieter, and oh, look at this, what are they doing? What are they doing? Dagonite has him up, Doomsday Device! How fitting is it for two men that use power bombs as finishing moves? Shia might be done. Oh, Flyboy was there with just a split second to spare. You had to think the Doomsday Device was it. And Mexican Shia, there was no way he was kicking out of that thing. That must be what Lieter says he and Dagonite have been working on. Shia with some knees, and again he's trying to set it up. Dagonite strike misses, and Shia flies in with 2 more knees to the face. Shia looking for Meet the Boss, and Lieter saw it coming. Lieter with the go behind, the quickness from the former Mr. Universe and a gutbuster. Shia really thought he could have the advantage, but Lieter shut him down real fast, and that's what experience will do for you. Short arm clothesline, but Lieter keeps hold of the arm. He wrenches him back up. Lieter with another short arm clothesline, and he still has the arm. Jake Roberts would be proud. Short arm clothesline number 3. Lieter has stunned Mexican Shia, now sends him back into the corner, and we've got another tag. And, oh, don't tell me they're gonna do this. Dagonite from the top rope, you are kidding me! Doomsday Device! Flyboy has made it back, Flyboy's made it back, and he's gonna have to play Savior again, and he does. And I feel like, oh my God. I feel like at this point, Mexican Shia's, he's gotta be angry with Flyboy that he still has to be in this match. 2 Doomsday Devices. Wow, that's some strength. Hoisting up a 7-footer like that. 2 Doomsday Devices to Mexican Shia. He's got to still be in this thing. You got to think, he's got no business. He's got no business still being in this match. He really doesn't. There's no way he would have kicked out of either Doomsday Device so far. But Shia, face first, goes Dagonite, plants his head right into the mat, and now Shia going for the cover, and Dagonite kicks out. Shia breaks his nose, and then gives Dagonite a receipt. Oh, Shia just goes limp after that backbreaker. The strength of Dagonite will never not amaze me. And now Dagonite hoists up Shia and drops him. You cannot find a more brutal powerbomb than that. Dagonite absolutely flattens Mexican Shia, and Dagonite, you can see how pumped Lieter is. Lieter and Dagonite have a win. You can see how happy Lieter was for Dagonite. Wow. Wow, I mean, Mexican Shia, credit to him because there was no way he should have been in the match at this time. Dagonite is pumped. And Lieter, man, how good does it have to feel for Lieter to find a partner like this? Dagonite showing out for himself in his match. You gotta love it from these two. This is an imposing team. Folks, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Academy Stormchaser. You know our main event for next week, but I'm gonna tell you something else. We've been showing you how devastating, how dangerous our new team of War is going to be. Well, folks, you're gonna see them make their GAW debut next week. Over a dozen tag team world championships across their illustrious careers, and they are here in GAW. They'll be taking on Woods Club. Of course, our main event is going to be Yunsan Park versus Lee Carr, and that is just a taste of what you are going to get on next week's episode of Stormchaser. We are on the road to Stormchaser Sydney. You won't want to miss a single second. Visit our website, generaladmissionwrestling.com, for all the recaps. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.